Hey everybody, it is late at night and I am Norman. A good friend of mine lent me his Bulova field watch. This thing has been used and abused. Tonight we're going to review this thing, and in a future video I'm going to take the back off of this watch and attempt to regulate it for him because it's off. He doesn't have a time grapher, so he doesn't know by how much, but it's noticeably not keeping good time. So we'll see what I can do. Hopefully I don't break his watch. But tonight, let's review this thing. So let us begin. So here's my friend's Bulova field watch. And as you can see, the crystal is kind of scratched up there pretty bad. And this isn't the strap that he had it on. He had it on a paratrooper strap. But in order to get access to the case back, I decided to put on something that we can just slip off of a lug. That one you have to undo the buckle to get it off. So this is one of my NATOs that was sitting around. Alright, looking at the lugs, they are totally utilitarian. Yeah, this watch is a tank. Absolute tank. They aren't drilled. They kind of remind me of like brutalism architecture, just because it's such straight lines and angles there. And we see that the sides of the case are brushed vertically. Very nice. Looking at it from the side, it's kind of thick, but this bezel here kind of helps to mitigate that some. So I feel like Bulova watches are just kind of thick in general. The two that I have are thick also. Interesting. We have some branding on the crown here. Alright, so let's wind this a bit. It feels really nice. Like, it feels like it's a decent movement. The knurling on here is great. Very grippy. It's a great size crown, so very cool. Yeah, real nice. Let's pop this out. And we see that it does hack, which is proper. Yeah, there's a decent amount of resistance as you're setting this. And they move really fast. Alright, let's pop this back in. And there it goes. Very cool. Let me get this strap off so we can look at the case back. So if you're unfamiliar with this watch, it's actually a very special piece because 10% of the proceeds go to the Veterans Watchmakers Initiative, which helps out veterans, usually veterans who are wounded or disabled, and they teach them watchmaking, so that's super cool. However, my friend was kind of frustrated because this is a display case back here, and this image here kind of ruins that. He actually tried doing away with this so that it would be clear back here, but failed at doing so. However they got that on there, it's like etched in there really well. And I think I definitely agree with him. If you're going to do something like this, do a solid case back and etch it into there. One, I think that would look a lot better than just kind of a picture back here. And two, if you're going to do a display case back, just actually make it transparent. But yeah. So we have some basic information around the edge there. Very cool. And looking at this dial, I really like the layout of this dial. I think it looks really cool. So we have the 12 hours with the 24 on the inside. And it doesn't have a railroad style tracker on the edge, just little batten markers for each minute. And then loomed squares for each of the hours. The handset's pretty cool. Kind of a touch of vintageness to it. And everything on this watch is pretty well proportioned. It is utilitarian, but it looks great. So regarding this crystal, I reached out to TikTok Watch Repair to get a quote, just an idea of what it would cost to replace this. and I asked them if it's possible to replace it with sapphire. Unfortunately, Bulova is not one of the brands that they service. So I went to Bulova's website and sent them a message asking them how much it would be to replace the crystal on one of these. And they said that the crystal itself is $26, but until they actually see the watch in hand, they couldn't really give me an estimate on what it would be to put that crystal in. So if my friend decides to get a new crystal, that's kind of what he'd be looking at. I feel like it might not be terribly expensive for the labor to do that, but I'm not sure. We see that there's some lume going on here, so let's charge that up and see how it does. Alright, let's take this someplace darker. Yeah, that looks really good. It's super bright. Very cool. Yeah, I like those square hour indices around the edge there. Those are pretty great. And look at that. Box crystals. So cool. It doesn't seem to be fading too much initially. Some watches, as soon as you get them in the dark, you can actually see them fading, but this one's holding on pretty well. That's cool. As for the specifications on this watch, the case size is 38 millimeters, the case height is 14 millimeters, the lug to lug is 48 millimeters, the lug width is 18 millimeters, the crystal is mineral, the movement inside this is a Miyota 8250, and it has a water resistance of 30 meters. The reference on this watch is a 96A259. Alright, so let me take off my stove and we'll see what this watch looks like when it's on your wrist. So here is my friend's Bulova field watch on my 7-inch wrist. And it is kind of thick, but from most angles it looks absolutely amazing. I mean, that's just a normal field watch dial, but it looks really cool. And this crystal is super cool. It'd be cool to see this with a brand new crystal on there. But it's cool that this thing has been used as what it is. A tough, tooly tool watch. Very cool. Now it's 38 millimeters, just like the Hamilton Khaki Field, but it doesn't look nearly as large as that watch did when I owned one. So just the design, maybe the height helps a little bit, just kind of makes it look a bit smaller. It looks like a great field watch size, where to me the Khaki Field looked too large for a field watch. But this one doesn't really suffer from that. So what do I think of this watch? I agree with my friend about the Caseback. It's kind of weird. I mean, the good thing is it's the Caseback. You don't really see it much unless you take the watch off and pull the NATO strap out and kind of look at it. I think for me, the water resistance is pretty rough. It's kind of dress watch level of water resistance there. So, yeah. And I mean, the case is pretty thick. I feel like they could have got at least 100 meters of water resistance without having to change any of the proportions. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of strange when field watches that are designed to be tough and rugged have such low water resistance, but I mean, they're field watches, not dive watches, so I guess that makes sense. All in all, this is really cool looking though. So there you have it, an absolute tank of a field watch. Keep your eyes open for the follow-up video where I'm going to open up the back and try and regulate this watch, hopefully without destroying it. Thanks for watching.